All right, yo, what is going on? This is your man L Jamal coming through with another edition of Never Out of Bounds. Of course, this is the place where you can say what you want as long as you got them facts. We got a few things to talk about today, so let's get right into it. Of course, the first thing I wanted to get into was this entanglement with Jada Pinkett and August Alsina. Yeah, let's just say what like it is. I was under the impression the entire time that this was an open relationship between Will and Jada. Maybe this was the effect of the Mandela effect, like when people, could have sworn that they saw a movie called Kazam with Sinbad. I could have sworn I saw multiple interviews between both of them and, either separate or together, even together, explaining their open relationships and the parameters around it. So to me, this is not even news. It shouldn't even be news because we were aware of them having an open relationship. And on top of that, they were, according to Jada, under some sort of separation. So, word to your fellas out there, especially the younger ones coming up, if your girl tells you she wants to get a break, it's officially been confirmed, especially from Jada Pinkett herself, that if your girl wants to break, more than likely she wants to get another dick. So that's all she's really proven to us. This is not an important situation. This is not a matter of national news. Again, these are just two famous people, and you had a semi-famous person or a one-hit wonder with August Alsina in the mix, and you have a situation in where people, they have a news cycle. They have, they get to, increase their viewership on their, little talk show. And I think this was contrived, honestly, because again, we know the parameters around the relationship. They have an open one, so they really don't have, whatever. And they were separated, so technically they weren't even together. This is a waste of our time. Again, I don't feel for either party in the situation. I think Will has been a male hoe his entire, existence in Hollywood. I think same thing could be said for Jada Pinkett, just a big ass hoe. And her pussy stretches for a long mile, and Will has a list of bodies as well. They're both freaks of the industry. So I'm not too sure why we're acting, shocked now and trying to really castigate and slut shame Jada Pinkett. We knew who she was. Why are we acting like this is new? This is not new. Will Smith is a hoe too. So let's not act like this is new. Let's not act like this is all, something that we should be all about. No. And that's not really, that's their relationship. I think that's an example of a fucked up toxic relationship, honestly. And I really don't know why you will put up with somebody fucking whoever, whenever. I wouldn't do it personally. From me to you, I wouldn't want an open relationship with somebody. I couldn't really love somebody that I'm being that open with. How could I? If I'm opening up myself in all those different ways to other people, how could I just love one person? Doesn't make any sense. You guys have the kids, you guys have the marriage, but why go through all that? Is it because of prestige? Is it because of people with prestige need to be together to promote more prestige and promote, whatever? I don't know. Y'all would have probably been both better off being a bachelor and a bachelorette, respectively, being single. Then that way you don't have to go through all this. But again, this was contrived. I'm pretty sure this was all contrived. They had nothing else better to do, except to distract us from really what's going on. Like the police still killing us, and in black communities, we still shooting each other. You got a president that got bounties on his own shoulders and let the Russians kill him. So again, we have all this stuff going on right now, and I think that that is some contrived BS that is a trap. And I think black people need to be looking away from that. So as far as I'm concerned, fuck both of them. And August Alsina too. He's a one-hit wonder, just looking for some more seconds of fame, some more minutes of his fame. You see, he put out the new song about a week or so ago, or maybe this week, talking about entanglement. Haha, very funny, very interesting. Watching how about 5 or 6 months you'll be irrelevant again, and you had to think about what brought you back. What you need to do to bring you back to relevance. August, you had to dish the dirt on an old past relationship with an old ass woman. Good job, bruh. Just to get a song out of it. Good job, bruh. Good job. Let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about Nick Cannon and what has happened to him. Of course, Nick Cannon, he was on a talk show recently. I'm not too sure if it was one of his own off the cup type of situations, or like a Vlad TV situation. But apparently he went into some more black identity. And again, he goes, he's one of those, part of the group of people. We will address all these topics soon at a different date because I don't have all the fact. I don't have all my dates and facts together like I want to. I don't even know how I want to even address the situation myself, but it's going to take time before I have that discussion with you guys. A little bit more time. But again, he starts to talk about the true Israelites and who they are, and of course, he believes he's among the many that are starting to believe that they are black. Now, again, I'm not here to discuss the validity of that right now. I don't have none of those facts here. And of course, there was black backlash from that immediately from I guess the Jewish entertainment establishment who decided to blackball him. They said that what he said was anti-Semitic, which is not true. Again, anti-Semitic, in my opinion, would be I'm going to kill these Jews. They're fake, blah, 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 so they deserve this, that, and the other, and deserve to be discriminated against. That's anti-Semitic. To say that I disagree with some of their history, their background, that's not the same thing to say, I don't, it's anti-Semitic or anti-something, especially all that requires some type of defamation. Sitting back and kind of saying, I kind of disagree with the history, this is what I kind of believe. In my opinion, I don't see what he necessarily said to be anti-Semitic. However, do I necessarily agree with what he said? That's a whole different discussion that I'll save. I'm going to attempt to save it for a later date. Not too much longer, guys, but I will. I need to just get, again, there's so many ways that you can attack what he's, not even say attack what he said, but address what he said. There's so many avenues in which you want to go. Whether you want to confirm what he said or deny what he said or to be true, whatever. There's so many avenues right now that I'm not going to address that right now. Do I feel like he should have been fired for what he said? Not necessarily. I don't see what he said to be anti-Semitic, because anti-Semitic, in my opinion, involves some sort of violence, involves some sort of derogatory statements, and I didn't hear that from him. He just happens to be at a different agreement or a different standing of what the history is. That I can't say that that's racist. I don't see where he said he did break down some other things about genetic makeup and all this shit. I'm not gonna touch all that because in my opinion that's pretty much the equivalent to what a white man pushing eugenics would say. The same type of little arguments about, well, we came like this or we were made like. I'm not going to get into that. That's very dangerous mindsets to say that we are entitled or we better because of what God made us to be. I'm not going to get into that argument with you guys because again, that is the same type of argument a racist would push to you in a lot of different ways. Again, not the whole what he said about the Israelites. Again, I'm talking about his other comments about geneticism and genetics and skin tone, whatever. That's neither here or there. That's neither here or there. Because then they'll start talking about how they can justify how they treat light-skinned black people and all this shit and how they not really. No, I'm not gonna get into all that. To me, it causes way too much division as opposed to bringing people together. Was there a way that he could have said all that? I think maybe the genetics and the skin tone stuff he could have left out and probably could have been okay. Him having a different interpretation of the history is one thing, and I'm not going to hold that against him because, again, we are all figuring this stuff out, and we all are going to come to our own conclusions. I think as far as the black community is concerned, though, is an origin story or is a point of origin necessarily important at this point as opposed to just the community to be developed between the diaspora. I'm going to say community building is far more important right now than a origin point, whether it be in Africa, or Israel or any of those places, West Africa, whatever you want to say. So that's the biggest thing that we're dealing with right now. Was he right for what he said? I'll get into that later. Whatever the historical implications, was what he said anti-Semitic? I can't really say that, and I don't really think he doesn't deserve to lose his job. But however, you had, Roseanne, another example on the different spectrum when she was talking about immigrants or whatever she was talking about back in the day. She lost her show, Roseanne. So they will, this is a different era where they're not letting you get away with too much racial, what they would call, I guess, racial banter that incites some type of division, and I'm probably using too many words to describe that, or race baiting. That's the term here. They're not really interested in any type of race baiting. So black people promoting this type of ideology, white people promoting their ideology. Nobody is really with that per se. So I think you are going to see, people kind of, or powers that be, institutions kind of saying, look, let's curtail that. That ain't necessary. We don't want that to reflect on us, blah, 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 blah. Because in a lot of ways, it is about getting people to buy into your product, to watching your show. And networks, again, Nick Cannon, this is why, it is important. I understand where Master P is coming from, where we might have to own our own station. We might have to have our own network. We are going to have to eventually. That's why you have to look into what Byron Allen is doing. So I'm not so, and that's why a lot of people get bogged down on what people's ideologies are and what they're promoting in terms of what they're talking about. I'm more concerned with the actions and what a lot of these people are doing. Look at somebody like Byron Allen, who's actually challenging the networks, attempting to acquire them so we can have that access to be able to do that. He's challenging them in court, every day, trying to gain access, trying to get it to a point where blacks can buy those networks, be integrated, or ingratiate themselves in those platforms. That's and so again, I think it's bold, I think it's okay to have your bold moments when you might say something off the Richter scale and have people react to that. And I think a lot of that, has been going on lately. People have just been trying to say things to kind of get people to, oh, wow, turn and look. But it's about substance. What is behind what you're saying? Again, Nick Cannon has said all these things before and in the past. Of course, we know about him beefing with Eminem and trying to bring that black and white cause in there. And again, a lot of black people, especially in these days and age, when they feel like something is against them, the power is against them, which in a way it is, but it's really covertly against everybody. Covertly, it's against white folks, poor whites, uneducated Latinos, Latino immigrants. We know that it's against a lot of different people. It's not just against us. And so what happens is we get caught in the political jargon and the sound bites people give us, especially when it's pro-black. But again, I'm worried about the substance, what is actually being done, what laws have been passed. That's what I'm concerned about. Byron Allen, he's actually on the front lines working. Look at what he's doing. Research him. I wouldn't spend so much time talking about Nick Cannon. It's Nick Cannon, he's bought and paid. You can say what he wants, but he's bought and paid for. And see, you can have, just like Kanye, y'all can have them little flips in y'all mindset, in y'all program, and say, look, I learned this stuff over time. I've discovered these things, and now I'm somebody different. I'm changing. That's all good and dandy, but you can't put that out there because you've already taken their oath. You've already signed their contracts, and they can already use you how they want to use you. So you're done. And all that. I'm gonna turn around years later and say, well, actually, this is the truth. That ain't gonna work with them. And for many years you stayed signed to these contracts. You've signed yourself over to these contracts. You've had a whole lot of capital gained. We know you have capital gained. Mr. Nick Cannon, you haven't done a whole lot to put yourself on your own independent platform, and that's what happens. This is what happens when you do that. You're not allowed to say what you would want to say. There's plenty of other platforms. There's streaming nowadays. You don't have to be on a cable network to get your message. You could have done a bunch of other ventures, but you decided to stay with the major network. You wanted to be the host of the Masked Singer. You're not. They won't allow you to be that type of individual you think you can be. That's what I'm saying. And it's either you kind of go along with that, or you go, or you go into business for yourself. Again, we have all these, and this is the problem with, education and getting these skills, and even learning a skilled trade. We get these skilled trades, we get these degrees, and then we go ahead and we work for the top corporate rate. No, if that's what you want to do, if you during your course of your training and all that, somebody comes along and says, we have a fat career for you, here's this, boo, and puts you on, and by all means do that. But the first thing you want to do when you get that degree or that training is not necessarily go into working for someone else. You don't need to necessarily have those skills used and utilized by somebody else. You can go in and go for business for yourself. And again, maybe you do sign to a label, maybe you do sign a contract with a major network, or work on a major TV series to get that first name out there. But at the time, you step back and you find ways to be more independent. I work a 9 to 5, but I use a lot of my income, or at least part of my income, to funnel my own independent endeavors. So it's fine to do that. But you have to know when it's time to do that, when it's time to walk away from those things. I've changed my work hours. I've changed my work schedule to allow me at least the more time to put into my craft, to have into that craft. Let alone to be able to say what I want to say, and I could already do that, and it's kind of sucky because, although I'm not as big and famous, I'm not as rich, of course, I'm not famous, I'm not a billionaire or millionaire just yet, but it's almost like the regular YouTube guys and the regular, podcast guys and girls, females, women, have somewhat of a better, grip on what they can say than these millionaires they are signed to these contracts with these, big, networks and labels, and that's what it is. I mean, that's what that's showcasing to you. You really don't have that freedom because, again, you've been signed to that label. You've decided to, propagate what that entity wants. Pretty much. And the same thing with Kanye. And we're going to just touch on him a little bit briefly. I don't want to go too far deep into him. I feel like I need to, keep it pushing when it comes to him. Of course, he had his little breakdown this weekend talking about he almost killed one of his children, talking about how, and he also went on to talk about how Harriet Tubman didn't really free the slaves. She just had them work for other white people. But that's why she took them to places where slavery wasn't legal. She was taking black people to freedom, per se, or to at least free states. So then, and again, yeah, they would work for other white people. Yeah, they would work. At least they were paid for the work. Just like you have the choice. You work for other white people, Kanye. I don't get his. I need to. I don't even think I really want to understand him. And I'm tired of people, really trying to stick up for him and say, oh, he's off his. First of all, I don't want to be I don't want to be led by somebody who needs meds. Sorry. That's, in terms of my community leaders, my presidents, I wouldn't want him to be a community leader. I wouldn't want him to be a mayor of my city. I wouldn't want him to lead my community, youth organization. Go away. Not somebody that needs it like that, and if you don't take it, you out there saying crazy stuff like that. I don't know what to believe. Is it? I think he's just like, Will Smith and Jada, just kind of making this shit up. He's making it. I don't believe none of that. I think it's the boy who cried wolf. He be wanting some mad attention. He'd be somebody back in the day that I would just not like. He'd be somebody that'd be a whiner. If we were still kids, he'd be the one to be whining all the time, complaining to somebody. Oh, this shit, and then I'm so unhappy, and everybody said this about me. And shut the fuck up, cuz. Like, I don't even know what he be rambling about half the time. Talking about he ain't got his. He don't need to be around nobody. He need to be in a place. He needs some psychiatry. He needs a psychiatrist. He needs to get something right with him. I don't know what again, and that's what happens when you think you cool and you think you making $1 million moves. And look at me, I'm rich and I'm saying something. I'm the most important person in the world next to Jesus or whoever. That's lies. That's blasphemy, really. When he called himself Jesus, that's blasphemy. The minute he opened his own church, I'm like, this is all blasphemy. This is what God warned us about. False prophets. But y'all go ahead and follow that. I ain't following nobody that needs chemicals to keep them in balance. I'm sorry, bro. That's y'all. Y'all can have him. He ain't all that. He might make some great music, but his clothes is ugly and his attitude is ugly, and he's showing up to be an ugly human being, and that's how I'm gonna keep it. He's an ugly human being, or a lost individual, and is showing up. He needs to have something. He needs some help. I don't know if you can attribute it to his mom passing away, just Hollywood putting it on him like that. Remember, he decided to make the moves with Hollywood. You signed the contracts. That's why y'all trying to be all, they turned on us. Black Nick Cannon, black. No, You know what you was gonna get from that society. You signed them all them contracts. You stayed with them for years. Then you said your little opinion. Then they showed you how they felt. Then you go tell me, I'm sorry. I take it back. Nah, fam. It's not how it worked. You wanted to have your cake and eat it too. You wanted to be rich and paid and all that, and then talk about how you woke. Mm. See, you want to be rich and fed, and then talk about how woke you are. Same thing with Kanye. It don't work that way, yo. You the slaves. Real talk. And in a lot of ways, I mean, if you're working for a wage in this country, you are kind of a slave. We'll have to break that down a little bit later too. Wage slaves. So we all know what it's about. We just got some that are top hat Negroes think they really special, and then have to be brought down a few casts. Like Kanye, they have things happening, and then now he's having his little emotional breakdowns because he's seeing, oh, I'm not all that. You're not all that. They don't really like you say they do. They using you, just like they used Nick. Put him on the Max Senior. Then he said how he felt. Then they tossed him to the side. And he says, I'm sorry. Nick, you was better off standing on your ground. Then you took it back, and everybody turned on you. That was cold. Black people did him so dirty. But hey, it's neither here nor there. I'm about to call it a wrap for today because it's a new format here. I'm not going to go drowning y'all out with information all day. But I wanted to get some things off my chest. And, I wish the best for all the black people involved in today's episode. I really do. But I'm not going to fall for their bullshit either. I'm not. And I would advise the rest of y'all not to fall for that okie doke either. That's what it is. So, all right, y'all. I'm gonna leave the links at the bottom for y'all to get in touch with me. Of course, there's a Cash App and the PayPal if y'all looking to donate. But more so, at this stage in my career, especially here and now, I'd like you guys to just look it out. Check it out. Share it, like it, leave some comments. Let me know how you feel about it. Those are the most important things for me. All right, y'all. This is your man El Jamal. Of course, this has been another edition of Never Out of Bounds. And for now, I'm signing off. Peace out, one love, and I'll holla at y'all later.